Hey guys, this is Nick with Cymatics, and welcome to the concluding video of this series. And in this video, I'm not going to be covering anything related to beat making directly, in the sense that I don't have any projects open, but I want to let you guys go with some tips, cover briefly what we've done. We've covered quite a lot of ground. We've went from writing the melody to writing the drums, selecting the sounds for the drums, writing some percussion, sprucing up the hi-hat tracks, getting the right 808s, mixing the 808s with the kicks, and so on and so forth. And that kind of might be a daunting process, but if you follow that kind of procedure, you will get to a beat. But there are ways of shortening the process, so I want to cover a few of those here. One example is using templates. I really recommend you guys set up a template of some kind. So I have a very basic template here, which I use. It changes all the time, but I have a channel already in my default template for resampling, for recording my whatever I'm doing. I have an audio track for just random stuff if I want to throw in an audio sample. I have a recording track where I can plug something in and record it. A synth track, a chords track, which is just automatically armed, which means I can just play something. And it's connected to the crappiest piano VST you can think of, called Forefront VST, Forefront Piano VST, which is like the most ancient VST you can get. But it's enough to just write to get something going instantly, and then I can change the sound later. And then I have a drum bus with all my just MIDI tracks where I can throw in a sample and start making drums. And the sampler is just, for cutting up stuff. But what I recommend you guys do is slowly develop a small library of samples which you guys like, which work together, which cut through the mix, and just load them into these tracks and save it as a template, because that'll save you time in the beat making process. A very key example of that is the whole mixing of the kick and 808. As we've discussed, the kick and 808 need to be phase locked or phase aligned for the mix to bang. And it might be a pain in the ass, especially if you're inspired, you want to make music, to kind of find a pair of samples that align properly. So find a kick and an 808 that sound good together, and save them or remember them. Write them down somewhere so that you can access them later, or put them in your template. So that way you can get a reasonable beat going right away. And if you need to change something later, you can. You can also make templates for different BPMs. So you can make a template for 100 BPM, 160 BPM, 130, and so on. All of them have different effects on them, different samples, and so on. That'll just expedite your beat making process. The other tip I'd like to give you is to start with the melody, and kind of treat the melody as the launching pad. Whether you make the melody or you use a loop, it's irrelevant, but the melody will kind of dictate where all your drums will go and what the 808 will do, usually. That is, obviously there's no rules to this, but starting with the 808 and the drums, then you're kind of limited to whatever melody you'll find or create that'll land on top of those drums. But since the melody is like the most memorable part of a hip-hop song, it makes sense to start from it, and it makes sense to serve that melody, and also to not overcomplicate it. It's the less is more approach really works wonders in all forms of music, even in all aspects of it. So even in mixing, less is more generally translates to better mixes. Because if you overcomplicate your beat with too many samples and you're plugging in every hole with a percussion, or too many hi-hat rolls everywhere, then you just lose the plot, and it's difficult to serve the melody, and it's difficult to serve whatever artist might jump on the beat if it ever comes to that. So less is more. A simple beat is always going to be more appealing than an overcomplicated beat, because on a simple beat you can add things to it, you can rap on it, you can sing on it, you can edit it like later. But if you have an overcomplicated beat, then you can't do anything with it. It's baked in, and it puts people off. So that's the general ethos that I'd like to impart, and also to just not overthink anything when you're making beats. Don't intellectualize the process too much, because it'll result in worse beats almost 100% of the time. Because especially hip hop music, it's about energy, it's about vibe, it's about capturing a vibe, essentially. That's just the only term that comes to mind. It's kind of an intangible feeling within a song. And those, emotion and so on, those terms do not combine well with overthinking. As soon as you start to overthink, then you start to lose the vibe. That's essentially the way I can put it. The only way I can put it. It's about quickly capturing the moment of inspiration. That's why I'm stressing the point of templates, because that'll let you do that. You're not going to have to sit and think about things. So just try and make the beat making process as simple for yourself as you can. Even, put a clipper on the master bus so you don't have to worry too much about distortion early on. And yeah, just keep everything as simple as possible. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the course so far. Employ those tips. I'm sure it'll help you out on your beat making journey. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you in the next course. Bye-bye.